Welcome back to Things of Gold, a Snarky Puppy podcast by Storm Sound and Osiris Media. My name is Ryan Storm.
And I'm Megan Glyona.
And we are back today for episode 3. Very excited.
So exciting. I know. Exciting. I had the best afternoon, Ryan, because I got to stand in my kitchen and listen to Snarky Puppy and make some short ribs. What's
Sounds delicious and funky.
Yeah. Exactly. It was delicious.
I love
and funky.
It.
Yeah.
I love it. As we are recording this, spring tour has begun. They are one show in. Very cool lineup of musicians. A very rare 2-keyboard combination of Justin and Sean is out on tour this spring, which I'm very excited to see next week. And a rare appearance from Jay Jennings on trumpet, which is cool. So very much looking forward to hearing this band in action live next week. And you get to see them in a couple of weeks too.
Yeah, I'm so excited. That's exciting that Sean's on tour with them too. I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, of course, as much as I would like to be talking about the show that they played last night, unfortunately, we do not have recordings, and we are going back 7.5 years or so, which is, I still look at 2015, and I'm like, that wasn't 7 years ago.
I know.
It was 7.5 years ago. Today, we are going to be talking about October 27th, 2015 in Mannheim, Germany. And now, please excuse my poor pronunciation of the venue name. I apologize to any Germans or other people who may be offended by this pronunciation, but it is, I've already forgotten it. Okay, I'm not even going to try.
Alte Feuerwache.
Oh, there you go. That was better than what was going to come out of my mouth.
Okay, great.
But apparently I did a little bit of Googling on this venue because I was curious. It is an old fire station that was converted into a concert venue.
That sounds super cool.
Germany. Oh, I didn't do research. It's in Michael's show notes. That makes sense. And the name of the venue translates to English as Old Firehouse. So that's exciting.
There you go.
This show is part of the Mannheim Jazz Festival, apparently, as well. And we've got a very different lineup than in the last episode. You know, last episode, it shifted a bunch. We have a different drummer. We've got a different guitarist. We lost a keyboardist. So we've got in the lineup today, Jason JT Thomas on the drums, Nate Werth on percussion, Bill Laurance on keyboards, Justin Stanton on keyboards and trumpet, Mike Maher on trumpet and flugelhorn, Chris Bullock on tenor sax and flute, Bob Lanzetti on guitar, and Michael League on bass, of course. What did you think of the sound of this lineup, Megan?
Yeah, it was a lot different. I felt like the percussion was sometimes softer, really fast still, and amazing, but definitely had a different sound to it than the last few shows we've been listening to.
Yeah, and we do have a number of songs that are appearing for the first time on our podcast here, which is exciting. Lots of good ones, and we have our first look at a tune off of Culture Vulture, their Grammy-winning album that was released in 2016 that hadn't been recorded at this point. This is one of the very rare instances where songs will be ready before they record the album. Normally, most of the album will be written in like the week leading up to recording when they're rehearsing.
Wow.
Yeah, or like a couple of weeks leading up. You know, they said for Empire Central, like, you know, they went on tour for like a mini run in February, and it's like they were all writing in between gigs because the songs weren't written. So
that is
crazy.
Wild.
Yeah,
he mentions that in the show, right? That he's like, we're releasing an album, we're recording another album that we're going to release later. I'm like, they're so prolific. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it also it didn't have a name yet, but we will get to that song a little bit later in the set. We're going to dive in to our first song here, which is Flood, our first Flood of the pod. I love this song a lot. Very melodic, very beautiful. This one doesn't have the usual, usually has a guitar intro for 2 to 3 minutes. Very nice and spacey kind of vibe. But I love, this is a great opener, you know, gets the crowd going. Really open solo section, I think.
Yeah, it has a really nice, relaxed kind of easing in this song, and it kind of like sets the stage for the show too. It has like this Sunday morning stroll feel to it, and the percussion again much softer right away. I really loved it. I thought that the first solo was incredible.
Yeah. I agree. Nice guitar solo from Lanzetti. What I love about the sound of this lineup is the layering of tones between Bill and Justin.
Yeah.
There's not as many like lead synth tones. Like we heard a lot of lead synth tones from Corey in the last episode. We don't hear a ton of that outside of obviously solos. But here we've got a layering of Rhodes from Bill and Prophet synth from Justin. It just sounds so good together. It's amazing. Michael notes in the show notes that this gig is all about Bill. I think it's all about both keyboardists, personally.
Yeah. I can hear that. The piano does come through so strong, though, in the show and adds this, like, deep earthiness to it. I was just talking to another friend about that the piano is actually a percussive instrument. And so when you hear it playing, the other shows weren't leaning very heavy into that. So this sounds different because it has that kind of added percussive from the piano, which is super cool. But this Lanzetti solo is amazing. His tone gives this like on the edge feeling. It's really cool. It's a different sound.
Yeah, it's got like a little bit of a shrill quality to it almost, which is like that's kind of his signature, right? Like each of the guitarists has a few very defining characteristics about their style. So Lanzetti's is always like, it's kind of got like an offbeat kind of thing. It sounds almost dissonant, but not quite. But yeah. I think it's a really, really cool tone. And then JT's drum solo, he's a very thick sound to his drum kit in this show, especially going from Sput in the last episode. We'll hear from Sput again in the next episode. But where he's kind of all over the place, like hitting everything constantly. JT is much simpler, at least during song portions, which is not a negative. Like, each of the members of the band has their unique touch to it. And so hearing how JT approaches this is really, really cool. And I love the way he approaches this solo.
Yeah, I really love how the percussion kind of starts to build and drive after that solo. And then they drop into this like really languid space. And there's that repeated phrase. And then the drumming starts to devolve and it becomes super complicated rhythmically. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's a really, really great drum solo. And it's more unique than other drum solo, at least like the solo sections in other songs where the drums go, because it's a unique time signature. I think a lot of opportunity to play with different polyrhythms and whatever, because you mentioned like weird stuff, but it's great. And Justin throws in an arpeggiator over the outro, which sounded really cool, which I don't think we usually hear. It was great.
That ending is like really off kilter and disorienting in like a really good way. And then it has this like pulsing feeling to it. I really love the ending of the song. I really liked the song a lot.
Yeah.
I hope I hear this song more.
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I don't think we hear it very much. There might be a couple more throughout the thing. This is another one that's gone in much. But we're gonna hear it one more time in episode 9. Ooh.
Oh, great.
So we move on in the show. Our next song is Strawman, which we heard in episode 1 as an opener. I think, great early set song, as we mentioned in the last time. Like, this sounds very different with this lineup, of course. The organ was such a big part of the sound in the Strawman that we heard in in September of 2015. But lots of synth textures from Justin here. Last time he was pulling double duty on Rhodes and synth. Here he's able to focus entirely on the synth stuff, and it sounds great.
Yeah, I love this intro. It's like everything all at once. Like, hello, we're in the song. Totally
Yeah.
opposite to how Flood starts, right? I think it's just like a really great kind of contrast to the beginning of the first song. And yeah, the drumming here is incredible. It's so fast.
Yeah, that's my favorite part about this song. Just feels like a runaway freight train.
Yeah.
And Justin takes the Moog solo here. Basically, what kind of happened was when they lost Corey, like when Corey went home in the middle of October, Bill and Justin just kind of absorbed different parts of Corey's rig. So Bill took one of Corey's synths, and Justin took the other two, kind of expand
That's
their
cool.
sound. Yeah, to kind of adapt to only having two of them. So Justin has a Moog now. In the last episode, his only keyboard was a Prophet. But as we've seen, there's some video on YouTube from a couple of other shows on this leg, not this one, unfortunately. But we see that Justin has a Moog, his Prophet, and a Chord Kronos, which is we will hear a very nice sound from a little bit later. But this is great. His Moog is there. He's adding in some other synth textures to accent his solo. A little bit of interplay with JT. Love a Justin Strawman solo a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like they're in conversation. Super playful.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then, on the outro, in the last one we heard some trading between like Lanzetti and the horns, back to Lanzetti. In this one, we get that again, but Bill gets in on the action. Man, the way that he like just runs through this solo section, he's using that Yamaha CP70 patch, like the more percussive kind of, what is it, like a more metallic sounding, maybe?
Yeah.
Whatever that one is. And of course, like pitch bend piano is so cool because you can't do that on a real piano. And it sounds really cool when he does it here.
Yeah, I love knowing what that is because it sounds like old-timey, almost like an old bar piano, and it gives it this like down-to-earth feeling, which is cool in such a fast-tempoed song to have that kind of like earthy sound to it. Really, really cool.
Yeah. And I think Michael also really liked it because after the song ends, you can hear like in the background, he like says something about like, yeah, your Nord sound. Like, he loved what Bill pulled out for that section. So that was great. Very cool.
Yeah, this song does not slow down for a minute. It just like boom ends. It's just it's a train.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's amazing. And then we get our second Kite of the series. This one I think is a much better version than the one in the last episode. Not to say that I didn't love the other one, but this one is like, this is improvisational. I'm beginning to notice a trend, like in other Kites I've heard, when Michael takes that second solo, they go places.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. This is
Yeah.
such a nice tempo shift after the two opening songs, which are so fast.
Hmm.
There's just this really lovely kind of drifting along, effortless feeling to this song. It's really beautiful.
I want to shout out here, and I'm going to say it, I think, in pretty much every other song in the set. This whirly sound that Justin has going, in conjunction with Bill on piano, but I love the sound of this whirly patch. It's so thick. It just it captures it way like not way. It captures the sound of a whirly in a way that's just amazing for a keyboard like that. So I'm a huge fan. Yeah, I'm gonna keep talking about it every time it shows up because it's awesome.
It's really
Awesome.
satisfying that shift because the beat comes in and the piano is just so good. It's really nice contrast with the piano.
Hmm. Yeah, and as we've discussed before, Justin is the king of comping, and his comping during Maz's flugelhorn solo is. And then it's really interesting the way they kind of go into Michael's solo because with a bass solo, you can't be as present playing the song, otherwise you'll overshadow what the bass player is doing. Like with a horn or a
Mhm.
guitar or keyboard, you can play as forcefully as you want with the chords, and they're still going to cut through over the top. And so you need to give more space for a bass player. So it kind of starts with pretty much everybody except for Bill drops out, and you get this like again beautiful space in this song. And Michael really takes his time um, developing some themes here, and whew, I keep making that same noise. I feel like I'm being repetitive with how I'm reacting to things.
I know. It's nice though. It's really stunning. It's like super patient, delicate. You can hear them listening to each other.
Yeah, it's amazing, and they even they get into like a shuffle almost, like it
Mhm.
feels like they're going type 2 on Kite briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Justin does some like sparkly stuff towards the end of the solo, which is amazing. And of course, like Nate, you want to talk
Insane.
about
Just
what Nate's doing.
to die for. Yeah, I feel like the whole end of the song is really different from what I've heard. From a lot of what I've heard. And this percussion at the end of the song it just doesn't get better than this. It's like to
Hmm.
die for. It's so
Yeah.
amazing. And it ends the song in a really great way.
Yeah, this is a great song that has really grown on me the more that I've listened to live versions, and it's a surprising improvisational vehicle. It's a
Mhm.
slower song. Snarky Puppy is not as well known for their slower tunes, and so this is one that really, really gets out there.
I like when they go slow though. I think they do it really well.
They do. It's true. Um, I'm a big fan of the in-your-face stuff for the most part. But then throw me something like this or the 10, 13, 15 quartermaster, and it's like, okay, well,
Yeah, I mean, it's just like when you have a band that can go so fast and so hard, when they do slow down, it's striking, and
yeah.
it really like it's like impactful in a way that's
Hmm.
different when you're always going fast. So,
Yeah. Next up, we get kind of a rarity. It wasn't a rarity at the time. It's definitely a rarity after 2015. We get Outlier, which is off of We Like It Here, classic Justin Stanton composition, one of his best. I mean, they're all one of his best, but this one is also interesting because we're used to, in the studio version, there's very aggressive like organ and synth leads from Corey, while Justin and Bill are handling Rhodes and piano on that version. This one, Bill takes that main synth riff, and Justin is laying down again that whirly tone. Sounds so good. Whew,
Yeah,
it's so good.
this song has like dark video game feels.
Yeah,
I
it's
really like
mean.
their songs. Yeah, I like their songs that sound like movie soundtracks, and this is one of them. And the intensity in the song builds in a really interesting kind of unexpected way. It's not like a usual peak, it's like a dark kind of plateauing feeling.
Hmm. So this song is interesting because it's usually a horn solo of some kind,
Oh,
but then
okay. Mhm.
they'll depart. Like there are a couple of very rare versions. There's one from earlier in October that Corey takes that's really cool, but my absolute favorite Outlier, 11-9-19, one of two times they played it in 2019. Sean goes ham on like talkbox and vocoder and like switches between the two during his solo, and it's a really, really incredible version of that song. So if you have that show, you should listen to it, and if you don't, you can buy it on Live Snarky, and it is 100% worth that show. That's an excellent show.
That sounds really cool.
Yes, this one is Bullock solo. I really like the way that he kind of goes into his solo by just holding the sustain off the last note of the bridge. That the horn lines they're doing there, but lots of fuzz, lots of feedback, fitting with the vibe of this song. Very aggressive, very dark. It's great.
Yeah, I love how they return to the theme of the song. And that's kind of when Michael starts talking about all the music they have coming out and then intros their next song, which is unnamed, which he calls New Shit.
Yeah, he does specify that it's not going to be called New Shit by the time the album comes out.
And that
song,
he hopes it doesn't sound like shit.
Yes, it sounds great. And what's interesting to me is that for a band that loves like tinkering with songs as much as they do, especially before they had recorded this song is exactly the same now as it's played here.
Wow.
The song is Go, of course. The O with the line through it, because I think they named it on the Scandinavian leg of the tour somewhere. But yeah, this is the first Culture Vulture tune we've heard on the podcast. I believe they had played Go once or twice before, and maybe even debuted Shark Tank, which is another song off of Culture Vulture that is very rarely played after this time. But this is one of my favorite Culture tunes. Not that there are a lot of songs on that album that I don't love. It won a Grammy for a reason. Again, I have my first note about the song is that whirly tone. Once again,
all caps.
Kudos to Justin for whether that was the first whirly patch that he stumbled on that keyboard, or he spent some time finding the right one. He nailed it.
Oh, this song has a confident swagger to it. It's like nice, gentle funk. It's not like the Quartermaster hard hitting. It's a little bit like softer and an easier feeling. It's nice.
Yeah, I really love the bass intro. And so this is kind of the first look you're going to get into where we're going to go 2 episodes from now, once we move past 2015, kind of the signature of the Culture Vulture era of the band, where it's a lot like tighter. This song is over 10 minutes long. You've got the 3 distinct solo sections that vary. And so that's kind of a template that we're going to see in a lot of songs going forward. Like there's compositions, and then there's songs like this where there's a main hook, and then there's like 2 or 3 distinct solo sections that kind of tie the song together. So there's a bunch of those on Culture Vulture and Immigrants, which are the next 2 records after this time. But this is great. Bob's first solo here, his tone is so cool because it's like so distorted, but it's not like, creating like walls of feedback and like super dirt. It's just like compressed and like searing to me.
Yeah,
I
it's
was trying to
so
figure out.
different. I was just gonna say it's so different than the clean sounds they usually make. It has like
Mhm.
a nice change of pace in this solo to have this kind of like, yeah, like edgier sound. It's just really different. It sounds very cool. He is such a cool guitar player. He's really interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree. He is. Let me get some more Bill on solo 2. Plays with a nice little riff on this one. But I love, we get that different vamp on the B section, and then the outro just always just soars. No matter who's taking the solo, Justin, with that like clean Prophet sound, just takes it to the heavens.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Yeah, there's like great energy and this like sick drumming. And you've got that soaring solo and it fades out. It's just a really cool ending to the song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a good one. We're definitely going to see this one a bunch more times. They played it a lot in the years 2017 to 2019. Our next song, I do want to preface by saying this is probably my least favorite Snarky Puppy song to see on a set list. Tio Macaco from We Like It Here. I like the song. My main issue with it is like the 7-minute drum solo.
Is that how long
tends
it is,
to
really?
lose me a
Is
little
that
bit.
an
I don't know how
exaggeration?
long it is. There are some versions that are that long, but it's longer than a drum solo needs to be, I think.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, this song has kind of a Latin vibe. It's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I hear the flute, I just think of the Anchorman jazz flute, but this is a cool solo, despite that reference that it brings to mind.
That's very
Yeah,
funny.
my
But the
notes are just
Anchorman jazz flute's not a positive reference for you?
no, it is. It's the best. But he's like, "Oh, I'm so unprepared," and then he like pulls out his jazz flute, and it's kind of
Right.
like cheesy, right? When he's like jumping around, popping up in different places, playing the jazz flute, it's like very funny. This is obviously much cooler than that, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this drum solo is super long.
Yeah.
This part of the show is definitely not my favorite part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's to me, it's that they were only playing for like an hour and a half, and so to kind of throw 15 minutes for this.
Yeah, I
There are
get it.
more interesting drum solos in this show, certainly, and there are other songs like, obviously the Flood drum solo and the What About Me drum solo and the Shofukan, drum solo. Like those are all much more interesting to me because they still have some structure to it. This is just like, all right, everybody leave the stage. We're gonna whack things for a little while, which is also
What?
why I don't like drums at Dead shows.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, drum space was very intense.
Yeah, but
Did
it's a fun
What
song.
album
This
is
is a
this
fun
song
song.
off of?
We like it here as well.
Okay.
So, yes, the studio version of it is great. It's 6 minutes total, and the drum part is only like a minute long. So
This is tight. Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah, so it's good. And then closing the main set of this show in Germany, we've got Sleeper. I'm sorry to the Sleeper purists out there that our first version appearing on the pod is not one with Sean. As I said to Megan, this is like a Sean Martin signature talk box song. This one's also from We Like It Here. You know, one of my favorite slower tunes. This one doesn't vary too much from version to version, but just the way it builds, the way the riff happens. This is one of the first Snarky Puppy songs I learned how to play on piano, or I guess synth, because I learned the lead part.
Yeah.
But I love it. And Justin sounds great. Again, like rocking the Prophet once again.
Yeah, this song has like a nice calm sound to it. It's nice. It's an interesting song to end your set on, but they're gonna come back and end it.
This is
This
still
is
to
like
this day.
Encore,
This is
so
one of their common closers.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah, interesting.
it's. I think to me it starts slow, but it builds up, to
Mhm.
quite the crescendo. Usually, you'll hear later on when we hear a talkbox version. It can get
Can
there.
build up.
It
Yeah,
can
I'm
get there.
excited to hear that.
Yeah, and a highlight of this song as well is also the Rhodes for me. There are some versions in later years where Justin will take like a little minute or two, just to kind of like intro, just like lay some Rhodes down.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
one of my favorite things when that does happen. But let's get to this encore. We've got two quartermasters to talk about this encore and the bonus track for today. Yes, that's right. I still love quartermaster. So does Megan.
Yeah, I mean, with how much we're talking about this song, if I don't get to hear this song live in a few weeks, I'm gonna be really sad. But what are the I really love this song. Like, this has definitely become my favorite. I mean, maybe because I've been listening to it the most, but this song
Yeah,
rips.
this is our fourth and fifth. No, yeah. These will be quartermasters number 4 and 5 in 3 episodes of the podcast. So I think we're doing
Yeah.
pretty well. We actually we don't have a quartermaster in the next episode, which is
All
crazy to
right.
think about.
Wow. Yeah.
I know. It's kind of nuts. We're going to go 2 whole episodes with no quartermaster, if you can believe it.
Okay, well, at least it's coming back. That makes me happy.
Oh, it's coming back. It's definitely coming back.
Okay,
the
good.
majority of the episodes in this whole series have quartermasters because
Perfect.
I'm crazy. But let's talk about this one. I was saying to you before we hit record, we've heard 3 quartermasters up to this point. The 2 today are completely different than any of the 3 that we've heard, but these 2 share a lot of similarities because of the insanely deep funk grooves that they get into in both of them. Oh my God. Despite the fact that the crowd starts clapping wrong on Michael's intro in this encore version, which is pretty funny. He like starts playing, then the crowd starts clapping. It seems like randomly offbeat. Michael's like, "Oh, it's okay," and then starts playing along with them. But
It's so fun. It's so
yeah.
funny. Yeah, this is super fun right away. I mean, I think they just sound like they're having the best time right away. And his bass intro is just so good. I love it when we get to hear his bass kind of on its own. He's so good.
Yeah, it's amazing. And this one's cool because the show notes note this as a D'Angelo medley of quotes. I'm not familiar with these songs personally, but
yeah, I wouldn't have known that
sounds
either.
Amazing. The kind of progression that Michael starts into. Bill rocks this one on piano as well. Justin again, the whirly. Hello.
Yeah, I mean, it's so mellow and funky when Bill's on the piano and Michael's on the bass. It just vibes so well. And then Justin comes in, and I think I tweeted about this, that this is just like pure funk heaven. I mean,
Yeah.
it is just groovy and just, it's fucking good. It's really good. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. And then, you get like the horns, throw in that little quote there, as the intensity kind of ramps up. And then, the whole song's been at kind of half speed at this time. Then they hit into the ending, and the hymn ending at normal speed, nice and fast, crescendo. Man, I love this song.
Yeah, it just can go so many different places. I mean, thinking about last episode when it got super psychedelic and weird, and then to hear it just be like, quoting like R&B, just really cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. So let's talk about this bonus track today. That brings our Mannheim show to a close. But so basically the band becomes James Brown's band for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
They do play a James Brown song pretty much. But man, just I don't know what was going on. This was in Oslo, Norway, in November 7th, 2015. This quartermaster at a jazz fest. They were doing kind of a residency, so an early late show. They did 4 shows in 2 days. And they're just like they just sit in this groove.
Yeah.
Like they're not trying to experiment. They're not trying to go out. Like they're just sitting in the groove. And what a groove.
It's working. I mean, the intro is super different and playful. It's like really fun. It's kind of like slower. And then the percussion just like hits really hard. It's super soulful, really hot. And then the horns come in, and it is so self assured and free feeling. It just sounds like they could do this all night.
Yeah. And I mean, they do it for quite a while. Michael's having such a good time. He gives JT and Nate like a little drum break in there,
Yeah.
just to keep grooving.
Oh, it's
Wow.
so
And
good.
another very cool, funky thing that Michael does here that I love is he introduces the band, and as he introduces the band one by one, after he introduces the members, they rejoin the groove.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Jason JT Thomas on the drums. On the electric guitar, that's Bob Lanzetti. On percussion, that's Nate Werth. In the horn section, we got Justin, Stanton, Mike, Maher, and Chris Bullock. I gotta hear that again. On keyboards, we got Bill Laurance. Norway, if you're funky, you gotta clap. If you're funky, you gotta clap.
It's so cool. The first time he's like, just the drums, and then everybody drops out and he's just drumming away. He's a really incredible conductor. I think that's like such a skill that he has, and it's just, he makes it seem effortless and something it's actually very hard to do. I think about like how Trey leads Tab, or, these people who lead these big bands. It takes such incredible skill, and it's really cool to hear him like in real time calling stuff and having people, it's the swagger to this song, and it's just awesome. I love that. I think there's like a horn solo and he's like, I got to hear that again. And then they
Yeah,
like do
like
it
a horn
again.
line that
Yeah.
they throw in.
Yeah. It's like so
Yeah.
good. It's so great. Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's hard to do anything but dance when this is on. I mean, this part of Quartermaster, especially this version, like you got to just stop what you're doing and just get down.
Yeah. And then, so they go back into the song. It ends. Then they're not done. And then they just hit right back into the same groove. And then Maz grabs the mic. I think this is the only time in the series we're going to hear him do something like this. But starts singing "Give It Up or Turn It Loose" by James Brown. It's just so much fun. Just adds to the fun factor, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and it's just straight funk right to the end of the song. Like just keep going on that funk train.
Yeah, and no hymn ending to this one either. They just go back into the horn lines, and then it's done. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's really fun to hear how tight this song can be, or how like kind of
Loose.
soulful, or loose, or like how experimental, or how like psychedelic. Like this song really is. It really can go anywhere, and really kind of like reminds me of a lot of the stuff that we like in the jam world.
Mm-hmm. The handpicked shows for a reason. Well, that brings us to the end of our content for today's episode. This was a really cool show. We're going to get another Justin and Bill show coming up in a couple of episodes that sounds completely different from this one, partially because it's, all Culture Vulture material, and partially because the rest of the band is very different. So I'm excited to, dive into that one as well. The next episode is our last one of 2015. I know some people might be wondering, why are we spending so much time in 2015? Well, the answer to that is it is very well chronicled, this fall tour, and there's lots of different lineups that happen, lots of different changes. So we will start going through time periods more quickly after this episode, or after next episode, rather. The next episode is cool because one keyboardist, two guitarists, two tenor sax players, which is an incredibly unique one. And we've also got Sput back on drums. So
it's
going to be a good
one. I'm excited.
one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Well, this
it's really cool.
Super fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we're on this journey together. Thank you, everybody who's listening along with us. And, of course, by the time this comes out, we will be most of the way through spring tour. I think by the time this one comes out, Megan, you will have seen the band, which is very exciting.
Oh, that's exciting.
I like breaking the fourth wall every episode. Yes, we are recording these in advance. When this one comes out, I'll be on Goose Tour somewhere on the West Coast. So
that tracks. That makes sense.
Yes. So yeah, the next episode is going to be great. Looking forward to it. Obviously, if you are seeing shows on this spring tour, tag us on socials at Things of Gold Pod. Share your experiences. Share your favorite songs and performances. And if you're not, and you're just following along in some fashion, or you're listening to these episodes or these shows, or you're listening to any Snarky Puppy in general, and you would like to share it, so we would like to hear from you. So tag us.
Please tag us, reach out, message us, find us on socials, talk to us about Snarky Puppy. Also tell your friends about the pod and give us a review on Apple Music, and help people find out about us.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Things of Gold. Thank you, Megan. This was fun, as always.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
And everybody, have a fantastic day, and we will see you next time.
See you. Thanks so much.